You work hard to make a living. You make X amount of dollars a year, which ends up being X amount of dollars a month. But then the real question is, how much of your living expenses should take up those X amount of dollars a month? That's what we're going to talk about today. What's up, guys? Mark Cannon, your local realtor here in the Phoenix area. Today, we're talking about how much of your monthly dollars should be used up by your living expenses. And what's the safe way to do that? I'll give you some resources. But before we get into any of that, if you guys could like the video, I'd appreciate it. It helps me. Share it with your friends. Trying to be a resource. Again, not trying to be famous, just trying to put information out there to help you make the best decision possible, whether you're buying, selling, renting, whatever it is. All right, let's get into it. All right, so we're going to be talking about how much you should be spending on housing every month, right? So what portion of your income should you be spending? We're going to use some generic numbers and stuff like that, just that way you guys can understand. I'll put them on the screen, and we'll try to keep this short. And down to earth, I've got my calculator, so I'm going to do it here, and I'll put the numbers up on the screen. But listen, no one's situation is the same. Everyone's situation is different, right? There's going to be unique situations. There's going to be just so much going on that there is no one answer that fits all. Right now, there are rules of thumb, and we'll kind of talk about that real quick. So, obviously, I talked about Dave Ramsey a lot on the show because, listen, he's helped a lot of people be financially secure and profitable and lots of things like that. I'll actually put a couple of video links in my description of his where he talks about some of this stuff. So, Dave Ramsey talks about keeping it around 25%. So, 25% of your monthly income should be for like your housing, whether it be a mortgage or for, your rent, whatever. And that can be a challenge. Obviously, like right now in Phoenix, it's expensive to live here. Rent's really high, and so are mortgages because interest rates are high. So there's going to be some unique situations. As a real estate agent, I typically tell people you want to try and stay under 30%. 30% of your monthly income should be for housing, right? And that can be hard. And there's different situations. Like right now, like interest rates are high. So I have clients that are above 30% of their monthly income. But what they're going to do is they're going to refinance in the next couple of years, and it's going to go below. And there might be people that are like, hey, I've got a job. I know I'm getting a raise, or I'm getting a promotion, or my wife's about to go back to work, or my husband's about to go back to work, whatever. Like there's lots of situations where it's like, hey, for right now, we can make it work. But, in the future, it's going to be better. And the reason why, like Dave Ramsey talks about 25%, I say try to stay below 30% of your monthly income is because you don't want to be cash strapped. Listen, lenders will pre-qualify you for tons of money, up to 50% of your income. They'll pre-qualify you for that. You don't have to use it, and I usually don't encourage people to use it. Now, there are situations where it's like you're using one person's income and they pre-qualify you, but you have someone else still making money. Like when we bought our last house, like they used my wife's income and they didn't use mine. Okay. It's one of those that we know that we're making more than that, so it may not be equal in that sense. But we're going to use some generic numbers right now and just talk. So I think the average right now in Phoenix, the average household income is about $88,000. Okay, so let's use $88,000. Okay, so $88,000 divided by 12. So we'll say you're making about $7,300 a month. Okay, so $7,300 a month. And all right, what is, let's say, 30% of that, right? So 30% of that is $2,200. So $2,200 a month is 30% of your income. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, man, in Phoenix, that's really hard to come by. And it's true. And the whole reason that like Dave Ramsey talks about 25%, I say, under 30% is because we don't want you to be cash strapped. I said that earlier. And what we're talking about is, if you're using up to 50% of your income, you're not able to save money because you're using so much on your house. What happens if you need a new car, right? Let's say your car dies or you get in a wreck or something and you need to get a new car. What happens if, your roof starts to go out or your water heater or whatever? Like you need to be saving money. Maybe you need to be saving money for your kids, something like that. And so that's where you don't want to be so cash strapped at 50%. And this is just a rule of thumb. Like if you're like, man, I'm at 35% of my income, it's not the end of the world. It's not like, oh no, I'm going to go bankrupt. That's not what that means. What we're trying to teach is, hey, you want to be able to have it where you want it. Now, like a lot of people right now, they're buying and they're saying, okay, I'm going to refinance so that way I can, in a couple of years when interest rates come down a little bit. So it's one of those for you guys, it's about planning ahead, making sure that you're doing the right thing to be able to have flexibility if you need to spend money in some other ways and you can save money for other things, right? So right now it's difficult. So let's say you're doing $120,000 a year. So let's say you're married, don't have any kids, whatever. You're making $120,000 a year together, right? So that's going to be $10,000 a month. So $10,000 a month, and 30% of that is $3,000. You can get pretty close to that. Like right now, like you can buy a house that's under that. You can. Like I know people right now that their mortgage payments are $2,500. You can get that still. Now, listen, is it going to be a big house? Probably not. It's going to be a smaller house, and it's probably going to be farther out from the center of Phoenix, right? So that's where there are solutions, and there's different ways to talk through some of this. Like right now, a lot of people are buying down their interest rates, different things like that. There's a lot of different solutions. I would love to talk with you guys about that. I'm just trying to do a snippet here, just kind of show you what is smart and why. Check out those Dave Ramsey videos. They're smart. He does a lot of stuff just of why you should be, financially stable and how to do it. Everyone's situation is different. I would love to talk with you about it. My information is below. Guys, you've been listening to The Real.